Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Ninja Knight. Make sure you like the video, make sure you share the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you. So here we have the Hollywood Reporter, and it's something they reported a couple of days ago, and I just thought about it since then, and I'm going to put my thoughts into this video. Rather than publishing a video really quick to tell people about the news, I had a bit of a think about this one and I just want to unpack that in this video. I grew up with Beast Wars. Beast Wars was really my first exposure to Transformers fully, in that in the 80s I wasn't around at that time, so I didn't really have the full exposure to G1. I've seen the G1 TV series, loved the G1 TV series and the movie, but Beast Wars was really the series that I grew up with and that I seen in stores. So I'm very nostalgic and I care an awful lot about Beast Wars. So the Hollywood Reporter reported that IDW Publishing has announced plans to celebrate next year's 25th anniversary of Transformers Beast Wars with an all-new comic book series launching in early 2021. Now, I have a few thoughts on this one, and it's very strange to see IDW still have the license for Transformers. This is a company that has featured many problems over the last number of years, with the hiring of the likes of Aubrey Sitterson for G.I. Joe, a guy who was critical of people that felt sympathetic for the attacks on September 11th. They have had Whisper Network administrator Margaret Scott be a big player within IDW. They have injected identity politics and SJWism into these comics, which have actually resulted in hemorrhaging of sales. So much so, they had to reboot their Transformers universe. Now, a lot of people seem to have remembered the SJW woke politics that were injected into those comics, and a lot of people have walked away as sales have continued to decline. IDW are in big trouble, and in my opinion, they cannot keep their fingers out of the SJW woke nonsense, so it will arise, and I'm going to explain how I think it will within this comic. So 2021, we're getting a comic of Beast Wars. Now, my first question is this is Hasbro's flagship brand, well, one of them, along with G.I. Joe. Why are they not making a TV series of this? We have seen an absolutely abysmal TV series in the Netflix Transformers War for Cybertron. The voice acting was so bad, and even Gary Chalk, who was the original voice of Optimus Primal and the Unicron trilogy Optimus Prime, criticised that work. Most of the people that worked with Beast Wars are actually still living and still have a big fan reception, and a lot of fans really like them. The cleverest thing that this company could have done was actually put this art, in my opinion, because I think the art is okay, barring I suppose the expression here on his face that's very haunting. Put this on film, put this on a TV series and get those people back. It would be easy for them to record their lines from home and send them in. Because with all of the stuff going on at the moment, obviously you cannot have people close together. So I think that would have been a very good idea to do. And actually show the fans you care. Animation with like this 2D animation would have been cheap. And personally I think JC Borcham's artwork here, barring that expression, is actually pretty decent. I like him as an artist personally. And I think every character here has a decent silhouette. They are blocky, yes. But I think the silhouettes are very nice. And I think if you had them blacked out, you could really see which character is which. Now, what I'm talking about IDW is this one. There's this character that's appeared in the front here. And this character is revealed to be called Nyx. Now, I'm going to break down who I think Nyx is going to be and how I think that this is going to factor into IDW's SJW mantra. It's very possible that this could be wrong. This is purely speculation. But I think I have a decent knowledge of what IDW will try to do. Now, it's possible that IDW and people within IDW will see this video and they might try to alter what I'm going to say. So we have this character called Nyx. Now, in Season 1 of Beast Wars, you had a fantastic character called Air Razor. Season 1 really focused, and seasons after that, focused on some Maximals that were ejected from the ship, the Axolon, and when they were under attack from the Predacon ship, they were ejected, and there was kind of a Easter egg hunt for some of these characters throughout the seasons. I'm very surprised that if they wanted a female character front and centre, why they didn't use Air Razor. Air Razor was a character I felt in Season 1 that was quite underutilised, and I think that they could have fleshed her out predominantly within this comic. As you can see, Rhinox, Optimus Primal, Cheetor, and out of shot here we see Rat Trap, and then we have Megatron. So including this all new character is a bit of a strange idea. I think maybe they could include kind of like the Gathering, and they could have multiple characters. This could be an all new universe. I don't want to see this tying into the original Beast Wars. So I have no issue with new characters popping up, but when I see the name and when I see how this relates to Transformers, I can't help but put what I think is 2 and 2 together. So this is Nyx, and we have had a Transformer with a similar type of name beforehand, and that is Onyx Prime. Now Nyx, as revealed by JC Borcham, is spelled NYX, if you're catching my drift. So Onyx Prime is one of the 13. Onyx Prime was the Lord of the Beasts. They're the most spiritually minded of their number, in tune with both the creatures of the natural world and intangible realm of the spirit. He alone has the ability to properly use the three-faced triptych mask given to him by Primus. This artifact allows him to cast his spirit across vast distances to commune with the dreams of far-off beings, or even track the journey of a spark across the afterlife. Though some view these strange mental voyages across distant realms as mere flights of fancy, Onyx and his visions make him one of the most inspirational primes. Onyx Prime's spiritual attitude allowed him to cultivate an inscrutable presence that made him appear mysterious and slightly intimidating at the best of times, even to the other members of the 13. In spite of his powers, Onyx Prime is a kind-hearted and friendly individual at spark, a trait that made him one of the most liked members of the 13. Indeed, all of his siblings treated him as fiercely loyal companion and a steadfast confidant. Micronus Prime, in particular, once regarded Onyx as his closest friend. As the first Transformer to possess a beast mode, those Transformers who revere him as the greatest of the Primes tend to eschew the vehicular alternate modes of other Transformers, preferring to wear the animalistic forms exemplified by their spiritual progenitor. So this is the character that I think that this character could be based on. And I'm going to explain why throughout this video, why I think that that might be a negative thing. So we have another type of version of this character, in my opinion. And we have Onyx Primal. So at one time, Onyx Primal was one of the Tripedicus Council's more promising assassins. Even if he was given to overblown melodrama, his movements are utterly silent, and in bat mode, his stealth cloak can shield him from most scanners. A smug glory hog, Onyx quickly takes credit for any nearby successes and is even quicker to shuffle blame for his failures to others. However, falling out with the Predacons has left him with a little choice but to join the Maximals. He doesn't like them, and they don't like him, but neither camp is in much position to refuse each other's help. He's an accomplished spy and assassin, though as a Maximal he has little opportunity to practice the latter skill. Evidently he is also known as Blackie. Now why is this important? Because originally we have, as we can see from the toy here, Onyx Primal was a redeco of the basic class Optimus Primal toy. Onyx transforms into a large vampire bat to robot mode with a one-step spring-loaded transformation. So why is this important? Well, we have Onyx Primal's faction is generally in flux. In 1998, Hasbro and Kenner decided retroactively that Onyx was a Maximal due to the original use of the mold being a Maximal, according to a statement given by 3H member Glenn Hallett at BotCon 1998. This line of thinking also resulted in the Nova Predacon Sandstorm for BotCon 1999. This change was first displayed in the 1998 voice actor script reading Visitations, and later a new extended profile reflecting this change was crafted for the BotCon. Beyond Sight, which was later moved to BotCon Online, linked below, which recast Onyx Primal as a deeply flawed individual, a transparent critique of the individuals who created him, who had defected from the Predacons to the Maximals. A decade later, Beast Wars Sourcebook presented Onyx as a Predacon assassin again, this time as a dark creature of the night. Gary Chalk's voice for Onyx was based loosely on Jackie Gleason, to go along with Scott McNeil's Art Carney voice for Packrat. So very interesting to see this character has had sort of a name in Transformers lore beforehand. Now what I think is going to happen here, and I can pretty much see it, is that they're actually going to usurp, I think, Optimus Primal. They're going to eventually reveal in my opinion, now this again is speculation, pure speculation, I could be wrong, they're going to reveal that this character is probably a Prime. And with this name in mind, Nyx, Onyx Prime, Onyx Primal, I'm sure that they're drawing some influences from that. Now, it's very possible that they could be deciding just to use the name because they think it looks cool, but most of the time when you see things done by Transformers, you see a deep lore being taken from that. We've seen it in the Wreckers comics that we've seen with Tarantulas being appearing in there, who was originally called Mesothulus, and we are seeing this kind of use of these characters and, in a way, very new ways of using them. I think that they might be trying to reshuffle the idea of Onyx as a Prime, and we have seen a type of Onyx Prime recently with the power of the Prime, so this name is in use, and I think that Hasbro will be looking to keep the trademark for this one. If the rumours are true of a Beast Wars movie occurring, I'm sure that they will try to involve the Primes in some way, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Onyx Prime. This is why I think that Onyx Prime could potentially be this character, because it could be essentially a god in disguise. Now what does that do for the rest of the team? Well, the rest of the team here, led by Optimus Primal, would then eventually have to bow to the will of this character. So this is what I'm thinking IDW might be moving towards. That is my thinking at the moment. Now, when you're looking at some specific Transformers websites, it's very interesting to see some of the stuff they're deciding to do. And what I'm talking about in terms of that is when you're seeing Transformers websites starting to cover and starting to say certain things. Now, this one website I have been very critical of in the past. I have talked about Margaret Scott being the administrator of the Whisper Network. I have seen multiple threads on this actually be deleted by this website. I have seen other threads that are flagrantly and easily bashing some male creators, the likes of Michael Bay, the likes of Pat Lee. Now, whether you agree with them or not, especially Pat Lee, I suppose, I don't think that if you're going to have a set of guidelines, a set of rules, and then actually then go against them actively, that's actually right, in my opinion. I don't think that that is right whatsoever. So this website, I'm sure you will be able to guess which one it is from the right hand side comment that I've made towards Patrick Thomas Parnell, is this. So this comes from an administrator, and they have said, the discussion of gender politics stops here. I don't care what side you're on, who's wrong, who's right, etc. It stops here. The thread is being combed and warnings will be handed out as needed. So these asshats decide to throw out this, you'll be warned by your type of speech because we don't like it. Absolutely unbelievable. Shitstorming is against the rules. Homophobia and transphobia are against the rules. Name calling is against the rules. And off-topic bickering is against the rules. Now, what's interesting about that, hang on, I'll read that again in their voice. Shitstorming is against the rules. Homophobia and transphobia are against the rules. Name calling is against the rules. And off-topic bickering is against the rules. It's actually funny when you see a lot of the threads that actually descend into exactly what they're talking about, the likes of shitstorming and name calling and off-topic behaviour. But there's two very important OBs within there that they decided to link in on, and I'm going to show why they've decided to do that now in a minute, because these cucks bend the knee very much so, and very much so oftenly. Now, I've seen in previous videos and I've seen in other threads and stuff like that where they talk about me. Great to see it. I'm glad that you cooks turn up and you watch my stuff, because you lefties are definitely going to get it in terms of this stuff not going to be continuing for a very large number of time. We've seen there with the likes there on the Beast Wars comic, it's at 1.2k. That is absolutely nothing. That is awful, and it goes to show that your SJW nonsense is not working. So here we have, if your post breaks any of the rules, it will be removed. When the thread is reopened, anyone continuing such discussion or posting in a manner that violates the rules will be infracted. So with their infractions, they decide to throw infractions out, and without warning or anything like that, they decide to say, oh, we're going to ban you for this long. Because these people are grown adults and they can't handle a bit of criticism. That's all that's wrong with them. You're welcome to criticise and praise. Not at all, because the criticism, when you have valid criticism, particularly with the identity politics and the woke SJW nonsense that they have inserted into these comic books, these cucks get rid of it. But if you take issue with IDW's gender politics and inclusion of varying sexual orientations or discuss it further in any manner, your post will be removed. So you've said to people, yeah, okay, criticisms are fine, but then you have to worry in and work into your narrative of let's not criticize a certain faction of this criticisms that people have valid criticisms for. Things that people have walked away from in their droves. They have walked away from this IDW company in their droves, particularly with Transformers, because it has inserted this absolute shit. They've walked away from the likes of Ghostbusters. They have walked away from Doctor Who. They've walked away from Star Wars. This is what happens when you insert identity politics and gender politics and this utter nonsense and this utter shit into these comics. People walk away. So this is the mentality of this board, I suppose, and it's a board that I don't get involved with because I think an awful lot of people that are there are decent individuals, but I think you have this type of shit running the site and it's absolutely toxic at the moment. And it's been toxic for a long time because this is the type of weirdo that has decided to add into its litany of weirdos. So you have one individual decided to say projection much, scratch my head. This isn't Twitter. I don't know how you think being like this wins any people over. This is how IW staff and fans always act. This is why normal people just spend their money elsewhere rather than being belittled or bullied. Stupid business model for a dying industry, but if it gets you likes, so frack it, right? Now, Michael Payton, I have to say, I support there with the comment that you have made. And then you've actually got this whack job, because this whack job is an individual that is very active on the boards and likes to throw out certain things so that the moderators will jump in then and defend them because they're afraid of being called phobes and ists and all that, rather than telling individuals like this to go take a hike and out you go. This is the type of weirdo, just so you know, that IDW have attracted. This is their weirdos, and this is the type of individual that doesn't purchase the material, doesn't purchase the merchandise, but gets involved and tries to irritate other individuals that they eventually tell them where to go, and the moderators step in and say, stop being mean, because this person's like, oh, you're so mean. So they've replied, the bully in this situation is probably one making a sarcastic and homo-transphobic remark implying that it's a bad thing to have LGBT characters in media. Not actually the one sarcastically making a jab at what a douchey remark that was. Now, I don't mind any characters that are written like that and they're written well, but we're starting to see it in an awful lot of TV shows. It's actually predominantly in every TV show. And what's actually happened is that the character's whole trait, their whole personality, is the fact that they're a member of that community, not that they're written well. So that's what a lot of people take issue and umbrage with. Now, going back onto IDW's SJW nonsense, people just don't want to see robots involved in romance. It's one of the weaker parts of Beast Wars in my opinion from the original series. I had no interest in seeing Tigertron and Air Razor being together. I had no interest in seeing Silverbolt and Black Arachnia being together. In fact, it was a little bit cringe at times. I'm not a fan of these romances within this. It's a war. I want to see warriors appearing like warriors and fighting and doing their best rather than injecting this nonsense. So look at this piece of shit and what they decide to say. After all, Primal or Rhinox being gay wouldn't actually matter much, would it? So this is what you're starting to see. You're starting to see this SJW mind start to work in and be like, well, there's two prominent popular characters and they should be what I think they are. No, they were camaraderie, they were great friends, that's all they were. But this freak job, this whack job, wants to be talking about these characters and making them into something they are not. Neither character was portrayed as straight in the show. Didn't matter. Nobody gave a shit. This is what's happened now since then. You've had absolute whack jobs like you that have decided to hone in on this whole thing. It's absolutely unbelievable. Even though we know for a fact that relationships exist in this universe, unless of course the problem stems. And we'll see what the remainder of this individual said. Stems from the fact that they would be gay, and you're brandishing the pretty homophobic opinion that any LGBT representation is automatically pandering, and therefore a negative thing, or simply that any LGBT representation is bad no matter what. Yeah, it is pandering. It absolutely is pandering, and it's why you've seen an awful lot of people walking away. And I'm sure people that are within that community have also walked away from IDW stuff. I would say a large number of them have. I speak to people on the regular about this sort of stuff, and they are actually pretty embarrassed by the way characters are written within this. That there's actually no purpose for a character to be the way they are, and that their defining traits is their orientation. As I said earlier on, it didn't matter what Optimus Primal and Rhinox orientation was. They were very well written characters. They were done very well. They were voiced very well. They didn't have to have a relationship. No other character had to have a relationship within that show. They were well written characters. Now, as I said, I thought the stuff with Air Razor and Tigertron sometimes was cringy. I thought the stuff with Silverbolt and Black Arachnia definitely was cringy. But I think it went into that character of Silverbolt more so that he was this really gentlemanly sort of knight type of character. And that was the portrayal for that character. But it didn't make him all about that. He had a kind heart. He didn't agree with the war. He didn't like war. He had then very dark thoughts later on, which was affected by when he was taken by Megatron and turned evil and then reverted then to good, and it really messed with his head. That was a well written character in my opinion. But the fact that you just want him to be of this orientation goes to show the type of absolute shit that this company is bending to and why this company is hemorrhaging money. The artist himself is in this thread and he's seeing this type of shit. So they're going back, and there's other people that were involved with IDW, because like I said, when you're seeing multiple threads be deleted about Margaret Scott, it goes to show you the type of individuals that are either involved or hand in glove with this forum. Because why would you delete that otherwise? So then you have, and can people stop with the Twitter BS? I know a lot of you don't actually use social media, but Twitter isn't exactly considered a progressive environment. So it's nice to see that this individual decided to have a bit of a barb at this individual about being on Twitter, because this is the type of behaviour that these whack jobs engage in. They engage in this screeching, they engage in this problem and trying to victimize themselves. And as you were seeing earlier on, you see that red emboldened lettering of like, hey, we won't be discussing any gender identity politics here, and we won't be discussing ist and phobes and stuff like that, because these people know that the majority of fans have tuned out. 1.2k likes on a tweet here. Look at that. And that is from the 9th of October. It's now 2 days later, and that is all you have gathered. That shows me that this is a company in severe trouble, and that this is a series that an awful lot of people are not interested in. Like I said earlier on, moving away from the SJW nonsense, who's picking up comic books now? The comic book industry is on a nosedive out. So why have Hasbro decided to give this to IDW? Is it to try and get them to keep their doors opened? Perhaps. Why haven't they just decided to turn this into a TV series? If they headhunted the artist, which they did, according to him, for this series, why didn't you just give him the ability to make a TV show with it? Why didn't you have him work with maybe Nick Roach? Nick Roach, an Irish artist who was really responsible for the revival of the Wreckers and for a comic book series that was really loved and lauded by an awful lot of fans. He also understood Beast Wars because he was one of the people that introduced Tarantula Stan back into the main universe. That is the type of guy, along with this JC Borcham, that I would probably have working on this. I would put the woke SJW nonsense aside, and I wouldn't have it involved in any of this. Now, like I said, you're having people walking away in their droves. It would make more sense, in my opinion, to have a 2D animated show with the original cast and some new cast members. I personally think that they could have done a gathering sort of TV show where you have all new characters. You wouldn't have to be looking at some characters in the past, which is why I'm critical of this Nyx character, because I feel that there is a possibility and an ability to twist this character from being Onyx Prime or Onyx Primal and turning into something completely different, and then deciding then that character is the saviour of all. IDW have done it before. They've done it with the character Rung. So they are a company that does not have an awful lot of great ideas, and they decide then to repurpose those ideas into something else. I personally think that that's what they might do with this one. Now, as for the fandom and the state that it's in, you're seeing an awful lot of weirdos like that individual that are being listened to, and they throw out certain comments that gets these mods involved in. These people should be laughed at, and quite frankly, the company shouldn't be listening to or bending to these individuals whatsoever. I want to see Transformers continue, and the more it decides to pander, the more problems it has. You've had Bumblebee, the movie. It decided to pander to a certain audience because Christina Hodson made multiple comments about that. You see in the Bumblebee movie as well too, that majority men were killed as well too within that movie, if you notice that as well. And you have a character like Shatter that's in charge essentially of the Decepticons on Earth with a subservient moron of a male character. It's not very hard to see. That was one of the lowest grossing, it actually was the lowest grossing Transformers movie that has been out so far. You'll have an awful lot of people be like, no, it's because you hate women. Not at all. I think if you write a strong female character and you write them well, you have the talents of Ripley within the Aliens franchise, you have Sarah Connor within the Terminator franchise. If you write a character well, people will respond to it. If you write a character arc well, people will respond to it. However, if you don't and you just make them a merely suit, the likes of Ray and various other characters that you have seen now over the last number of years, people decide to walk away from it. And that is what happens when you have poor storytelling. IDW has fallen into the trope of having poor storytelling. Now, if I was IDW, or Hasbro in fact, I would probably be getting in contact with Simon Foreman and I would say to him, look, please write a new Beast Wars TV show, feature the Gathering or some sort of idea like that where you have multiple new characters, different characters with different beast modes. We can sell an awful lot of toys with those because there is an awful lot of money out there for people to purchase these characters with, particularly with beast modes. Kids love animals, kids love dinosaurs. Adult fans will go back to nostalgia and look at these characters like of Optimus Primal, Rhinox, Cheetor and Rat Trap and Dinobot, etc. and Megatron of course, and they will purchase these characters. Then if you have a nicely sculpted new character, nicely sculpted animal mode, people will say, wow, look at that, and they will purchase it. But what's not going to work is if you decide to push this fully into a comic book industry, where the comic book industry is dying. I've done plenty of videos on that beforehand, and you give it then to a company that involves itself in SJW woke nonsense. It's not going to work. So this is a very strange move from Hasbro in my opinion. Now unless they have something planned that they're going to use this or tie this in with a TV show later down the line, suppose remains to be seen. We are getting Earthrise from Netflix, and after how bad the first one was, I would be absolutely shocked if the same company, Rooster Teeth, who are featuring an awful lot of problems recently, don't forget, with misconduct and harassment and stuff like that, and they were the company that were involved with the DC Comics Wonder Woman fiasco, where they put a very overweight looking woman as Wonder Woman, which says a lot. This is a company I think that are going to go away very quickly as well too, because there is an awful lot of people that are on their backs right now about the stuff that they've been up to. So whether they get a third crack at this Transformers universe, I don't think they should. The first season was absolutely awful. The story direction was terrible. The voice acting was woeful. Second season looks the same. Same voice acting, it looks terrible. The animation does look decent, so I do have to say I credit those people. But with everything that's going on at the moment, will they be able to do the same thing for Chapter 3? I don't know. So maybe we're saying that this is going to be the Chapter 3. Now, if it is, that's a very big problem. Because where is the material going to come from for people that want to buy into this? Where is the imagination going to come from? A TV series, in my opinion, is the only way. Get some of the original voice cast back. Make sure none of them are making stupid comments. Make sure nobody involved in the show makes stupid comments about politics or anything like that. People that want to know. Make sure it doesn't become a political statement or whatsoever. But now in IDW, I think that's the way they're going to go. Anyway, I'm a very passionate fan of Beast Wars, and I hate to see it being turned into something it's not. I'm very skeptical when I see new characters, particularly characters that have a bearing and a very similar bearing to characters that have come before, and with a company that have been showing us over the last number of years that they do not give a shit about fans, and that they do want to inject this identity politics, this SJW wokeness into these comics, and people have walked away on their droves. Now, if you want to debate me on that, absolutely no problem. But the facts and the figures are there. People have walked away. You're seeing this tweet. This is the reveal. 1.2k likes. That's not great. This is a massive brand, and supposedly a brand that's coming up on a 25th anniversary, where people are going to be nostalgic, that people are going to be buying into this. The action figures are going to be coming out very soon, and only 1.2k people like it. That's not great in my opinion. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. I'm critical of this stuff because I love it. You would see other people that are not critical of it and try to toe the line because they want to be in the good graces of some of these companies. I don't care. I'm happy about telling the truth. This is the truth that I'm seeing. Bad figures, woeful company, strange decisions, and I think maybe a possible disrespect for the original cast if they go the way that I think they're going to go. Now, it's very possible that they might not go that, and this could be an all new character, and I really appreciate that. I think it would be a clever idea if they made this character twin sister of Onyx Primal or Onyx Prime, and that she wasn't one of the 13, and give her a bit of a backstory like that. But I doubt that they're going to think it like that. Anyway, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think. Are you going to be purchasing this comic book series, or are you going to pass on it? Have you seen some of the stuff that IDW have done in the past, been a fan of it, and then decided to walk away? I will say that James Roberts' earlier stuff on The Lost Light was really good, but then he put himself into it and put an awful lot of identity politics, SJW wokeness into it, and I just walked away. Were you the same? Is a figure of 1.2k likes a very worrying circumstance for you? Do you think that that really shows that an awful lot of people don't care, A, about the comics, or B, about IDW still having the license for this? It's certainly a problem. What characters would you like to see in a Transformers animated series or a Transformers comic book? I'm sure there's an awful lot of characters that you would love to see. I would love to see Wolfman, K9, characters like that. I'm a big fan of them. Razor Beast would be another one that I would love to see again. What type of characters do you think they should move with towards in the future? Do you think that this could be possibly an usurping, a sort of denigration towards a deconstruction of Optimus Primal and the rest of the Maximals if this character ends up being who I think that they might be? Do you think that that's a positive thing, or do you think that's a negative thing? Let me know in the comments. Make sure you drop a like on the video, because these SJWs, these woke nonsense weirdos, love to get really angry and about these videos, and I love it. So make sure you drop a like on the video. I absolutely love it. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, because I will be talking about this in the future. Will I be reviewing this comic? I don't know. I'll wait and see. Let me know what you think. Do you think I should review these comics? Do you think I should keep a close eye on what's happening here? Or maybe should I just walk away from it and just say, like the rest of the individuals, nah, I'm alright. Anyway, I'm going to leave the video there. Good luck.